Hi, it's Sarah SMUTNY, your host of the Simply Balanced podcast. I'm super happy that you're listening in today. And here in this podcast, we are going to go deep on gut health, anti-inflammatory living, spirituality, self-care, and so much more.
Record. Hello.
Hello.
Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Really happy. Now we are back to our third session, basically, in our podcast series about gut health and hormones.
Yes.
Today is basically the topic gut health and hormones. That's because in the last one we talked about it was about the seasons in our, what was it again?
Transitions.
Yeah, that was it. Yes. So if anybody's interested in that, listen to one of the other episodes we just, they're already on the podcast. You can listen to them. Then you have the complete range of our knowledge. And we will still do more. Like there's upcoming episodes in our series. So stay tuned.
Yes.
So who doesn't know Steph yet? If you didn't listen to the episodes before, maybe you can present yourself quickly to our audience.
Of course. So I am a health coach. I take a holistic approach with knowledge from Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, which is a very holistic approach in trying to look at the root of your issues and not just at the symptoms that are showing up. And sometimes the symptoms can show up in very random ways, and it's easier to use these ancient healing methods to kind of trace back to where the root cause is. And yeah, I'm also a mother of 2 boys, and I live in London, and I'm super excited to be here with you today, Sarah, talking about hormones.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's why I also want to do this together with you, because we are so aligned and basically our way, how we work, how we see health. Let's directly jump in today in our topic. So gut health and hormones. Do you have anything quick to share about that, Steph?
Yes, I would say in my personal experience, I have definitely been through a hormone roller coaster. And I know that this has very much to do with the healing process that I went through in my own gut. I had a lot of imbalances, and I really felt that in my hormones, where I felt like they took over my personality, and I felt very much out of control in terms of how my mood swings would show up, but also in kind of how my digestion was working. And now that I understand the connection that there is, that it's really a synergy between the brain, the gut, the immune system, and the hormones, they're all working together. And so with the approach of looking at things holistically, I find this really fascinating. And also I notice now in myself, when I've been through major gut healing, I really notice that I'm much more calm and much more centered and much more in charge of my own emotions. So yes, it's a big one.
Yeah, you're back in control. That's it.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Because we will also speak about it in a bit, about also, how the microbes are basically also influencing our hormone production. And that's why, basically at that time when you were so unbalanced, they were in control of your body. That's why you also didn't feel yourself. And that's what also a lot of, maybe if you're also one of you listening to this podcast now, experiences, always tell yourself, you have to just take back control. It's not you who's now, maybe if you're acting strange, or you're having this crazy mood swings, or all kind of different symptoms, this is not the real you. So you can always get back to just get rid of the bad microbes in your gut. That's basically it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the question. How do we do that, Sarah?
Yes. But let's first dive into what are the different problematics which can be linked to gut health and hormones. And then we can speak about what to do about, because it's always important to first understand it That's what also yesterday I had in my program soft detox with my participants. We talked about stress in that case, and they were like, "Wow! Now that I understand the physiological effect of stress on the body, now I really want to make these changes because I understand, and that's why I want to first also here address in the podcast the facts."
Yes.
So important. That was the same for me. Once I understood, for example, what sugar does in my body, I didn't want to eat sugar anymore. I really wanted to switch to alternatives because, I just could see in front of my eyes all these kind of effects now on my skin, on my gut.
Yeah.
So, the first one, what is you have to look at with hormones and gut health is nutrient deficiency, because if you don't absorb enough nutrients, there's different reasons. You don't have the building blocks for the different hormones like estrogen and cortisol and progesterone and others, and that's why. That's what also happened to me years ago when I was in my own healing journey. I had a huge nutrient deficiency, and at that time I went to a Ayurveda consultancy, and she said, "You can eat as many superfoods as you want. If you're not absorbing them, it's just waste money in the bin." That's the case if you have this. So that's the first thing to look at and also to address. But we will speak about that later, how to address this. Mostly when you have a deficiency of nutrient absorption, it's in the case of when you have SIBO, SIBO.
Yep.
Candida overgrowth, and also when you have a kind of lack of digestive enzymes. Also, when you have low stomach acid, different reasons why you can have nutrient deficiency. Also, when you have a leaky gut, we will speak about that in a bit.
Yeah, and also heavy metal buildup, I would say.
Having what?
If you have a buildup of heavy metals.
Yeah, heavy metals. Yeah. That's certainly also playing a big role. Like for me, the liver. We could make another podcast about this. The liver is so linked to hormone regulation.
Health, exactly.
Yes. So the second point is gut dysbiosis, and that is when you're basically, in a very simple words, when you're good, you have too many bad bacteria, let's say, and too low amount of good bacteria, and also not enough diversity. Sorry. And then you call that dysbiosis, like basically imbalance of the gut flora.
Yep.
And then you can have like it's called estrobolome. Estrobolome, I think it's a word, when you have basically imbalance of those microbes which are responsible for removing also the excess of the estrogen out of the body. And if this is in an imbalance, then basically the deactivated estrogen, which comes from the liver, gets reactivated in the gut and gets back in the body, and then you have all this estrogen running around in your body. Instead, it should actually, with a healthy gut microbiome, get out with the stool. Yeah. So that's how normally the process of estrogen is in the body, and that gets completely messed up then. So leaky gut is the third one. Leaky gut, most of you might have heard of it already. And when you have leaky gut, you have a chronic inflammation, which disrupts basically everything in your body, and then you basically kind of
sensitivities. You have skin issues. Yes. Your immune system is out of whack, and therefore also your hormones go all over the place.
Yes. And you also have nutrient deficiencies. And causes of that can be use of antibiotics, of course, all kind of medication, toxins, heavy metals, intolerances, and
stress, right?
Inflammatory eating. Yeah, basically lots of reasons. Stress. Yeah. Serotonin production is the fourth important part I want to speak about. And I don't know if all of you knew that already. Of course, Steph, you know that. But 90% of the serotonin production is in the gut. And serotonin is also a hormone. Yeah. So if, of course, the right bacteria are not working or not existent in your gut, then you also have a deficiency of serotonin, which leads also to, of course, lower mood. It can influence. It can really cause also some other chronic issues, and that's very, very important to get the serotonin production up again. Like especially for a good mood. That's why you also say good food, good mood. It's really and also gut feeling, all these things. It really makes sense because it's all in the gut.
Yeah,
90%. Imagine it's basically our gut is responsible.
Basically all of it.
Basically our gut is responsible for our good mood, and if that's basically all psychologists or therapists should work with the gut.
Yeah.
There's lots to do. So
there's lots to do in that area.
So Steph, what would you do now? What would you say now if I came to you with a hormone imbalance in terms of nutrition, of changes? What of course this is not a whole coaching session, but what are some hacks which you would?
Yes. So I would say one of the main things that a lot of us are lacking because we don't eat enough of it would be omega-3. Omega-3 is just one of those basic building blocks that helps to calm inflammation in the body. Our cells and our brain thrive on healthy fats. We know that. And the second thing I would say is definitely assess how much processed foods are you having. And that includes, and I think that most people are starting to realize this now, the vegetable oils are really inflammatory. We're talking corn, soy, rapeseed, which is the same as canola oil, sunflower, all these oils are really, really inflammatory. So, check the foods that you're buying that are processed for amounts of oils, because over time, if you have a lot of processed foods and a lot of these oils, your body is getting it's increasing its inflammatory response, and that will lead to, again, dysbiosis, leaky gut. It's just creating a stressful environment in the body, and it has to work harder. So it's weakening your immune system.
Yeah.
So that's what I would assess. And then, the omega-3, you can either get it as a pill format, so a supplement, but then check where the sourcing is from. If you're using fish oils, definitely check that the producer is checking for heavy metals. But also nowadays you can get algae oil that's omega-3, which is really good quality too. My third suggestion is that you incorporate as much broccoli, cauliflower, Romanesco, Brussels sprouts, these kind of brassica, cruciferous vegetables, because they will help your liver with detoxing the hormones. And if your liver is struggling, that's a really good point to look at, because a lot of the time, like you already said, Sarah, when we reabsorb hormones, they kind of create havoc, because then the balance comes off point. So, a really good source for getting that kind of sulforaphane is broccoli sprouts. You can get those nowadays. Just have a small little handful of that. Plus, it's loads of fiber, and it has loads of minerals and healthy nutrients in it. So that's my recommendation. You can also get yourself some hemp seed oil and some flaxseed oil, and kind of use that here and there in cold dishes, because those are also really good sources of omega-3. And then last but not least, I would say that you should look at, your sleep. I think a lot of people forget about how important sleep is in terms of balancing the body in general and for well-being. A lot of the time we'll go to bed perhaps just that half an hour later than we should, forgetting the right amount of sleep that we need.
Yeah.
Often because we're on the screen all day, we have a lot of kind of external inputs that our body has to process. We need to have the respect, like we do with our children, to have a little bit of downtime in the evening to allow the body to kind of unravel and unfurl itself and kind of come to more a relaxed state. I think this is one of the cornerstones of good health in general that a lot of people are starting to understand again, because it's been lost. Like burning the midnight oil has been a thing for a long time, but we're really starting to see the importance of sleep for rejuvenation, for healing, for repairing, for every level of health, including hormones.
Yeah. Something I learned lately, which I found very, very interesting, is that when you sleep, you get back to these delta waves of your brain.
Yes.
And basically, small kids, they are still in this delta wave. So basically, where kids, when you are born, you're still, your brain is still in delta waves format, which means that much lower and much of deeper relaxation. They're basically almost unconscious, you know.
Yeah.
And then they move to the theta waves, alpha. And when you are like nowadays, almost all of us are running around like rabbits in these beta waves. You know, even there's this other state which is even higher, hyper. It's called something like hyper beta waves. So you see them like this. If you see it on a graph, you know, like crazy overload, you know, and basically. That's why not only sleeping, but also during the day or in the morning and evening routine, as you always said, getting back to this, already getting back to alpha state, which is meditative state.
Yeah.
It would be already so healing for a lot of us. And that's why, this again makes maybe this importance of sleep for the people now listening even more graphic. To get into the slow waves of your brain, and the brain is so important for healing and repairing our body. And imagine if you're in this slow wave state, what it does also to the rest of your body.
Exactly. Giving space to rest. So interesting you should say this now. I was just thinking of automatically, unconsciously, I have noticed in the last 6 months that I have started doing folding the wash before I go to bed. This has become sort of, I used to think of, you know, the laundry and this sort of thing as like a chore and a pain and annoying thing that you have to do on repetition. But in fact, it's a gift and a moment I have found to go into this meditative state, just folding, you know, and you can just be in that moment, very kind of calm and unfurling your mind. I find also, before I go to bed, I lie on a prana mat, which is like a spiky mat, which helps kind of untension my body. And I notice that these are the moments where you can kind of filter through things that otherwise come up just before you go to bed, and that keep you, you know, churning in your mind. This is the beautiful, same with when you go jogging, Sarah. I'm sure this is also a moment to kind of run through all your to-do lists and kind of tick it off and get rid of that before you go to bed, you know. I
get the best ideas jogging.
I find the same. And I wanted to mention one more thing. If we're talking about you know, things to help with hormone balancing in daily life, I would definitely add ground flax seeds in there. They are really good at removing excess estrogen. And a lot of the time, that's the problem that a lot of us have. We have too much estrogen and too little progesterone. Estrogen is, as we said in previous episodes, is your kind of strong power woman, you know, super go, connected to a little bit of the stress element and adrenaline, whereas progesterone is your kind of calm, sleepy, couch potato, preparing for pregnancy, you know, nurturing and more of the calm side. So we're missing the progesterone and we've got too much estrogen. So, you know, including the cruciferous vegetables, and the ground flaxseed daily would be really helpful to help the liver to detox this excess estrogen.
Yeah. And just to share quickly my sleeping before sleeping ritual. I sit in front for 5 minutes in front of a red light lamp.
Yeah.
In a meditative state. Listen to my kind of. I have a special meditation from Joe Dispenza I'm doing at the moment. It can also be that I'm doing a breathwork session. It's also as an audio. Breathwork is really so healing for the body. So yeah, and then when the lamp switches off automatically, then I just stay sitting there, do my ritual, and then afterwards I'm just directly going into bed. Or I read a book. It depends, but the red light is certainly a very warm and healing experience. I love a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting thing. We could talk a little bit about that if you don't mind, Sarah. I think light is something that people also forget about, like with sleep. Before you go to bed, part of, the body's circadian rhythm is connected to light. So, if you want to lift yourself and wake up in the morning, there's a lot of talk about sitting in the sun and, getting those sun rays in your eyes and kind of allowing the daylight to wake up your body.
Yeah.
Whereas the reverse is true during the evening. So if we sit in front of a screen or we have really bright lights in our home before bed, it's kind of telling the brain we are still awake. We need to stay awake, as opposed to when it becomes dusk, we turn down the lights before.
Put some candles on.
Yeah. And certainly using the red light before bed instead of blue or LED lights is much better for the body's production of melatonin. And the melatonin is the opposite of serotonin. It's kind of balancing day and night, so I would say that's a really important one to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, certainly. And I love this ritual. So, and what I would incorporate apart from the cruciferous ritual, it's a difficult word, is also anyway all kind of leafy greens like kale. Kale is my favorite because it's also rich in iron. You can eat it in the curry. You can put it like spinach in the curry. Spinach is, by the way, also a very good one. And you can eat it as kale chips. It's so versatile and easy. And this is certainly something I would include much more in your diet. And of course, all kind of sprouts, not only broccoli sprouts. So healing for the body, very nutrient rich.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the thing. When you're already lacking nutrients, as we are talking about nutrient deficiencies, you need to level up your nutrient load to counter that until you're healed, of course. Once you're healed, you need a little bit less. But when you're healing, you need a lot because you have to counter that and give your body enough of the antioxidants, of the zinc, of the vitamin C, magnesium, basically everything. Your body needs all of this. Calcium is also a very important one. And that's why, you need to also supplement in these times.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resistance. Nowadays it's changing a bit, but again, supplements, but they are very good supplements, very natural ones. Whole food space, that's what you should look at. And those are very important in the healing process.
Yeah.
It was very important for me and for my clients. But sometimes I still feel resistance to that, but I want to change that. Supplements don't have to be synthetic, don't have to be say highly dosed or processed. It can be seen as a form of herbal medicine in a very condensed, very highly concentrated form. Basically, that's
exactly.
It.
Yeah.
Also another one, it's very important, curcuma, turmeric. Making golden milk every day if you like it. Basically, this kind of shots you can make yourself with carrot juice, turmeric, ginger, super healing. Turmeric, you can really load yourself. You don't even you cannot have an overdose of turmeric. Yeah, basically, that's something I would also suggest to anybody on a gut healing journey. and a hormone healing journey. Basically, they are both linked, so you can, yeah. And much more fiber. As you were talking about processed foods, basically include so many more real whole foods and fiber, so that you kind of crowd out all the processed foods. At least 90% of them. You can have your cheat days, let's say, but then look, as also we were saying, look at the ingredients. There's also some, sometimes you have these frozen meals. If you're really like in a bind, you can have these emergency meals, but then look that it's free of sunflower oil, free of all these additives. You can have some okay ready-made meals, but then limit that to maybe once a week if you have to. That's would be my advice. And bring up the fermented foods.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. That's a great one. We shouldn't forget that ever.
Yes, fermented foods like kimchi is still my favorite of all of them, because it fits to everything. Sauerkraut is something that is more like linked to winter. You don't always like sauerkraut. At least I don't always like it. For me, it's more like a winter dish, and then it fits more to this kind of dishes like German, a bit like this kind of heavy style. It doesn't fit to everything. But kimchi, for me, I could eat it with everything, or like on the side.
Yeah, but if you're not into the kimchi flavor, because some people have to get used to it, and it's spicy and all this sort of thing, there's also lots of other fermented foods you can go for. Miso paste, as long as you don't heat it too warm. Make sure you get an unpasteurized, a raw form. Honey, old unpasteurized cheese, even sourdough bread,
yogurt.
Capers, capers, olives, yogurt, kefir, kombucha, all those, umeboshi plums, and natto. Those are all
natto, but natto doesn't. You can also get it as a supplement if you don't like the taste of natto.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
that's amazing.
I found it out lately. It's called natto kinase. And that's something I want to try for myself, because it's also very anti-aging.
Yes. Oh, please, let's have that. Natto is a really interesting one. It's a fermented soybean, and it's a very interesting consistency. It's almost like melted cheese, but they stick and they kind of create like a string, and they have a bit of a cheesy flavor. You have to really get into the flavor.
Special.
So it's definitely special. So I'm happy to hear that there's a supplement out there. That's very interesting. It has a really interesting spectrum of good gut bacteria that almost no other food has. And even though we've talked about supplement, I think Sarah and I both are on the same page in terms of you've got to start with the ground basis of good food. Before you do any supplementation, because if you're eating crappy food and you add supplements, it's not going to
do anything.
It doesn't do anything. You have to have the basis of good healthy eating, and then you level up with the supplements.
That's basically it. The supplements alone are not the cure, not at all.
No, you can't replace it and think that's going to fix everything.
That's a very good one that you said that, because it might have been misunderstood what I said before about the supplements. It's very good that you said that. Yes. So basically, it's kind of a fusion of both, the food, which is, let's say, 80%, and then 20% you level it up with those supplements, and then you're like on a super high healing level.
Exactly. And I know that we have another episode that we're going to go into supplements specifically, because I have some that I'm really married to, and that I have really great respect and gratefulness for, because they have really helped my hormone healing journey. But one of them that I do want to mention very quickly is maitake mushroom. This is a medicinal mushroom that is being shown to reduce PMS and helps to balance blood sugar. And I think this is also something we should mention, Sarah. Blood sugar balancing in the hormone kind of healing journey is really important, because if you have, constant sugar shocks in the body, you're also creating like a domino effect for the hormones themselves. So it's also important to be aware that when you want to do an extended fast, that you do it at the right moment in your cycle, because just before your period can be very detrimental again to the hormone balancing, whereas if you do it just before or during your ovulation is the perfect time to do fasting, because your body's set up for it, and otherwise you kind of throw your hormones out of whack.
Yeah, that's also something from my own experience, just to share here. I felt it was, I think, 10 days ago now. I was just before my own period, and I went for 10. I had subscribed for it, and I went to this 10K run. And I hadn't really also trained for it. I did the run at a very good time as well, but I felt very, very out of balance afterwards. And my reasoning why I felt like this is certainly because it was just before the day, or I think 2 days before my period, and it was just too much for my body.
I think we have to be very, very respectful of these premenstrual times for our body, especially as we age, because when you're younger, there's more resilience and there's more energy and all this sort of thing. But when you get older, like, your mid-30s, 40s, definitely 50s, you have to be more respectful of the cycle, because it does show up a lot stronger, I feel, at least.
Yes. But as you were speaking, okay, last one, we keep it short, this episode, about the blood sugar balance. Not only of course the fasting plays a role before the period, but also during the whole cycle, your sugar intake. So I think we spoke about it also in one of the last episodes, but sugar is bringing not only your gut, also your hormones, because it's all linked, out of balance. So really limit your refined sugar intake. You can have dates, you can have bananas, you can have, because it all comes with fiber, if it's together with fiber, it's a completely different story. Coconut sugar, maple syrup, all these, honey, these are all natural. And if you have that on your porridge, it's coming together with the fiber, and your body also absorbs and kind of works it in a completely different way if you have just refined sugar with refined white flour, let's say. That's having a completely different insulin response as well in your body. So that's why
I think it's good also to mention there, together with the fiber, fat can also have a really helpful role there. If you include some fat when you're having some honey of some sort, butter or a coconut oil, or even with your coffee can also spike your blood sugar. And I put MCT oil in my coffee because I'm really sensitive to sugar. And I really feel it in my body when I have too much of a shock of sugar. Then I either get really tired immediately, or I start to sweat, which is my body's way of saying this is not okay right now. So I think the fiber and the fat is really helpful, and also protein. So that's why it's so important to eat, well-rounded food that has all these components, because they help each other. They synergize. They help the body to digest things. And fat is one of these things that people are super afraid of, because they think that cholesterol goes higher, it's dangerous, they're going to get obese. But fat has such an important role in absorbing minerals and vitamins, and again, feeding your brain, powering your brain, giving you energy, making you feel full longer, so that you don't crave sugary treats and that sort of thing.
Like one hack would also be to take a teaspoon of coconut oil every day, because coconut oil has some saturated fats. There's always this discussion about it, but it has lauric acid, which is kind of antimicrobial and getting kind of rid of bad bacteria. And another very easy hack is putting in your tea some cloves. Cloves are so they're a real superfood. I made a reel about it yesterday because nobody knows it. Well, you know it, but I didn't know it before I learned this. Cloves are not only for Christmassy things; they're really amazing. Super potent. So put them in all your teas, 2-3 cloves, in your golden milk, in anything. It's super healing for your gut. You can even chew on it if you like it. Not everybody likes that. So I would certainly go more for the tea version.
Yeah.
But you have to boil it for a little bit. Like first with the water, boil it for 2-3 minutes, then put your tea bag in, and then your tea can soak. And then you have the whole potency of the cloves. Yeah, there's a lot. I could share so many hacks, but let's keep it short and juicy this
I
episode.
think this was a lot today in any case for people to digest, and I think we'll get more specific again in the next one as well.
That's why we will talk about adaptogens, about supplements, and many more interesting tips and hacks from me and Steph about hormones and gut health. So stay tuned for our next episodes, which will come out. And whenever you're listening to that, I wish you a beautiful day. And you can always ask us on Instagram. I will put, of course, also the Instagram of Steph in the show notes. You can always reach out to us for any questions about the podcast, about anything else. And even leave us your feedback about it.
Yes, feedback's always needed.
Would make us very happy, honestly. And see you soon.
Thank you, Sarah.
Bye. Thank you, Steph.
Bye-bye.